Cool. And a good reminder, you guys, that UIA is almost sold out. Less than 50 tickets are available. Less than 50. So please, if you're planning, if you've set aside the weekend, if you're going to UIA, make sure that you have your ticket. If you have people, and this is the Minneapolis one specifically, if you have people that you're inviting and can come or are considering coming, it may be worth getting the ticket for them, just simply so that you get it before they sell out. So that is exciting. It's coming up just another week. I know we're all super pumped for that. And then I want to share, we had 7 rank advancements in the last week, you guys. 7. So super pumped. Huge shout out and congrats to the newest consultants on the team. So Kristen Fettrell, I think she cycled like 18 times because she had kept her account active for so long, 18. So huge congrats to Kristen Fettrell for that. Huge congrats to Michelle Teely. She is one of our newest consultants. And huge congrats to Jen Pallas and to Jonah Reed. So 4 new consultants. And then we have 3 new crystal managers. So 2 brand new crystal managers. I'm super pumped for them. So Michelle Everett and Melissa Straka. And what's funny is they hit it in about the same day, and they're both realtors. And so earning that extra $250 bonus on top of the $100 for each consultant. And then with the reset, Miss Barbie Erickson hit it as well last week. So, you know, having Kid Executive before, she can go through all the bonuses again, and she created 2 new consultants. So that is very exciting, you guys. You know, sharing products we love, that's the first step, consultant, and then duplicating and getting your people paid is the second, so crystal manager. So huge congrats to everyone who is rocking that stuff. So I know there's a lot more in the works as well. I see it come through. So that's what I got. Yeah, Michelle, congrats to you for crystal manager. I see you just popped on. So I am pumped. I am going to pass it off to Gretchen. This is similar, I believe, maybe slightly different than a training Gretchen did for us locally when we had an in-person training about inviting people to take a look. And I'm not going to steal any of her thunder. I know she's going to just rock it. It made so much sense when she did it before that I was like, you know what, we need to have her do it here, you know, so people can take notes. And I know if you've already seen it, it doesn't matter. More things will sink in every single time. So Gretchen, we're pumped to have you. I know you are a master at this skill. So welcome.
Thank you. My gosh, you guys, I'm so excited. Okay, so I'm going to talk about inviting to take a look. But the thing is, you guys, like really, we all know what we need to say to invite. But the thing is we like let fear stop us, or we try to overthink it, or we make up a story. So while I am going to talk about inviting to take a look, I also am going to talk a lot about handling the fear and the numbers and really looking at inviting people to take a look from a different lens. So I don't see that many people who were I see a couple of people that were at the training. So it's some of the same content from the training. But what I would love to know, what I would love is if you would unmute yourself really quick and just share one area that you're really good at inviting people to take a look at Isogenics, and one area that totally freaks you out. So like, I just want to hear a few. Don't be shy. Becca, go girl.
I love talking about the products. That doesn't at all intimidate me, but talking about the business side of it is where I clam up.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. Raise your hand if you agree or have the same feelings about that, or have in the past at least. Okay, cool. I love that. It's good. It's just helpful because it kind of helps us to know where to go. So awesome. Someone else?
Hi, it's Bettina. I think I have the biggest fear talking to people that I know really well. Kind of the fear of them not annoying them or, you know, bothering them. So it's much easier for me to talk to strangers and just walking up to them than people that I know well and see consistently.
Yeah.
probably opposite of a lot of people, but.
No, I love that. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Raise your hand if you can relate to that at all. Yeah. Okay. I can totally relate to that. Yeah. Okay, cool. Someone else.
I'll share. You know what? I'm great at sending messages to invite, but to pick up the phone and call somebody scares me to death.
Ooh, okay. This is good. Okay. Who can relate to that? Like when you're on the phone, you're like, oh gosh. Okay, good. Okay. This is so good. Cool. Anyone else feel like they really want to share about kind of how it's going for them? Okay, perfect. All right, good. All right, that's helpful because I want you guys to see, well, thank you for those of you who shared. It's really important. And the reason it's important is because this business is like sometimes done 90% in our head, but we think it's 90% out of our head, right? Like, how many of you have spent like all day thinking about Isogenics, but not actually done one single thing for your business? Like, has that ever happened to anybody? It happens to me almost every single day, okay? Like every single day, Isogenics is one of the first things I think about when I wake up. I think about who I can help every single time I'm on social media. Like literally when I open social media, I'm looking at it through the lens of Isogenics, right? Like who can I help? Who can I serve? Who can I help get started? And so what ends up happening is we spend so much of our time thinking about it in our head that we start to create these like stories and movies in our head, similar to like when we're pissed at our spouse or somebody like a coworker and we imagine the conversation going a certain way. Have you ever done that? Like you imagine what they're going to say and then you imagine what you're going to say. And it's like this movie that plays out. It doesn't actually ever happen. It's just totally all in our head. Well, that is like exactly what happens with Isogenics when we're going to share it and we're going to ask people to take a look. Because of whatever programming we have, that's how we see the lens of how the conversation is going to go. So right from the get-go, we start putting biases on it. And it's not good or bad, you guys. This is literally life. We do this with every single thing. We make decisions in life about every single thing from the lens to which is our reality. And it is for everything, right? Like if you've never run a marathon, you put a lens on it when you go to sign up for a marathon about how you think it's going to go. After you run the marathon, you know how it's going to go. So if you signed up again, it would be a different lens. Like everything is a lens. And if you can just like allow yourself to just be where you're at, it takes so much pressure off of you to try to be someone you're not or to be more experienced than you are. Like the only way to get better at Isogenics, you guys, is to actually have conversations. That is the only way to get better. You can join all the calls, you can go to all the events, you can sit in all the chairs, but it's the exact same type of learning as everything else in life, where 90% of learning in everything, no matter what you're doing, is doing it, right? Like when you start a new job and you go to do the job, if you're just watching someone train you and they're showing you what to do, you won't learn it until you're actually driving the mouse, right? And you're like clicking around and you're doing the do. And I have a background in a career that was very hands-on. Like we had to like physically use our hands. It was a lot of hands-on. So I don't know, some of you who have different job experiences, I don't know if it was the same, but I feel like everything is the same where you just have to do it to learn it, right? And so there is no perfect way to tell you exactly what to say to each person. Now, I will say there are two types of people I think who come into Isogenics. There are the people who want the manual, right? Like they want step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. If you're like a manual person, like when you get into something, you read all the instructions and you follow it. Like, raise your hand if you're a person who likes a manual when you go to start something. Okay, that's cool. There's no right or wrong. This is cool. So people who love the manual, whenever I enroll someone and I can tell right away that they're like, okay, so after I take the ionics, then what do I do? What do I do after the ionics? Like, and they want exact step-by-step of how to do a shake day. I start paying attention because I'm like, ooh, this is like a manual person. So when I'm talking to them or transitioning them into like the business, I'm going to show them the scripts. So if you love a manual, then I want you to really focus on the scripts, on what to say to people in Isogenics. So the scripts are on Isogenics Business. All you have to do is Google Isogenics scripts. Not even kidding. Isogenics, don't even try to find it on the website. Everything I find in Isogenics, I go to Google, I type in Isogenics plus whatever I want to learn, Isogenics scripts. And it'll tell you word for word. So I want an honest raise of hands. How many of you have actually read through those scripts with another person, like practicing, either with someone you're about to enroll or someone that you're just practicing? Raise your hand if you've actually done it. Okay, so this is good, because what it tells you then is like, ooh, I haven't even given those a chance yet, right? Like I haven't even given the scripts a chance. So those scripts were made by Zach and Eden Slobin and the Field Advisory Board. People who are making millions of dollars took exactly what they say and they put them into scripts. So definitely, if you're a manual person, go to the scripts and start learning them, start using them. My biggest recommendation is to grab a friend, like someone on this call, and message them and be like, hey, can we set up a 20-minute call to just read through the scripts? And you role play, like each person takes a role and just read through them. You don't even have to do anything besides read through it. Do it with your spouse. You can do it with one of your kids, but just simply reading through it will give you confidence. And then the next time, do it with an actual person. And it'll feel funny the first time you do it, because you're like, oh my gosh, this feels really weird. But if you're a manual person and you like a manual, that is going to be your go-to. Now, if you're like, you don't care if there's a manual, you just want to feel comfortable in it. It's just like jumping in a pool, you guys. You just have to jump in. Like, you just got to jump in no matter how cold or warm it is. Like putting a toe in and all that doesn't work. And I'm going to tell you like 3 guiding principles that I want you to write down or remember or put somewhere. And I literally have these written down in my house. They're in my office. So the first one is, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. And that's pretty obvious. But what I mean by that, you guys, is we don't really have to worry that much about what we're saying, because when people are ready for Isogenics to come into their life, you literally can't say the wrong thing. They will be like, okay, cool. Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah. Like, have you ever had those enrollments where they're just like so agreeable and you're like, oh, okay, I didn't even like explain yet what a cleanse day is. And they're like handing you their credit card. Like, those people are ready for Isogenics, right? Like, they're like, yeah, sure. Totally. Candy, I don't see her on this call. She was like that. And Chelsea on this call, she was like that. Like, they literally were so ready for a change in their life that when I was like, okay, do you want to try it? They were like, yeah, sure. And they both bought value packs. Like, that's the right person. Not everybody's going to be like that, but that's what those types of people, like, that's what I think about looking for. It's like, I'm looking for those people who are the right people for this, who are like ready for this. Like, who do I know who's really looking for a change in their life? The second thing is, no one is going to ever remember what you say. So raise your hand on this call. So they won't remember what you say. They'll only remember how you feel, how you make them feel. And I'm sure you guys have heard that, right? Like, that's not like a statement. None of these are statements I made up. They're just principles that guide when I reach out to people. So you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, and no one will ever remember what you say. They will only remember how you made them feel. Now, raise your hand if you can remember what your enrolling sponsor actually said to you when they enrolled you. No one. Okay, so what does that tell you? What you say is not actually that important, right? And so here we're doing a call about how to invite people to take a look, and I'm literally telling you it doesn't matter, because no matter what, if you show your heart, and I really think about Barbie, literally, you guys, every time I'm trying to like drop into my heart space, I think about Barbie, because Barbie is like the most heart-centered person I have ever met in my whole life. And I think like, how would Barbie smile? How would Barbie like talk to this person? What would Barbie's facial expressions be? How would her body language be? And the reason I do this, you guys, like, is because those aren't natural tendencies for me, but I can learn them, right? You can learn new skills. You can learn how to talk to people about Isogenics. You can learn to have confidence. You can learn to talk about the business. If you are just willing to be open, think of someone that you know that's really confident about the business. And so then when you're in those situations, you can think, what would so-and-so do? How would she talk? What would she say? What would it look like? Like, that's literally how we learn. It's just from other people, you guys. So just pick someone that's going to help you drop into that space. And that leads me to the third point, which is the most confident person in the room wins. Okay. So if you're the most confident person in the room, you're going to win. And what I mean by winning is by enrolling. So those 3 principles, literally write them down somewhere in your house. Can't say the wrong thing to the right person. The most confident person wins, and no one is going to actually remember what I say, right? Like, so it kind of doesn't matter. But the problem is people who really like following a manual, you can't just give them that as their like instruction, because they just will literally do nothing. Like, some people literally have to be told exactly what to say, and there is nothing wrong with that. It's your learning style. It's who you are. You're probably a super organized person in your life, and you're probably really successful because of it, because of that skill. So it doesn't matter which person you are. You just have to kind of know yourself, because if you're taking no action talking about the business because it scares you, well, then maybe the scripts are where you need to start, because it'll just give you some framework, right? Or maybe getting on the phone, if it's really scary, the first thing is to just like start talking on the phone to people who feel super, super safe to you, right? Like, hey, I need to start getting on the phone with people and talking about this, and it's so like kind of scary to me. Is there any way that I could like practice on you? You guys, the first person I ever practiced on when talking about the business, because I was stepping into that, it was at a UIA, and they made us go out in the hall and call people. And I called my friend who's the vice president of a bank, and I was literally shaking, and I didn't know what to say. And I was like, can I just practice on you? She was like, okay. And after I was done, I was like, so how did I do? And she's like, actually, I don't even know what you're selling. Because I was so nervous, you guys, I wasn't even like communicating anything, but it was like ripping off the Band-Aid. I just had to do it, right? Like, I just had to call someone. And this girl actually ended up enrolling with someone else like 2 years later, and I was so mad about it. But like, whatever, that happens, right? So, okay, so those are like the 3 guiding principles. But I want to transition to like really thinking about how to invite to take a look from your life, everyone that you know, as like a funnel. Okay, so if you're in marketing, you already know what sales funnels are. But if you're not in marketing like me, I came from nursing, I literally didn't even know what this was. And so what a sales funnel is what every single company in the whole world uses. And it's how they take people who don't know anything about them to a situation where they're like in a funnel, right? So imagine a funnel, and down here at the smallest part of the funnel is a customer. So they become a customer, or they become like a loyal customer, right? They become like a person who's like really in it. But everybody starts at the top, not knowing anything about it. So at the very top level, the top of the funnel, like the widest part, these are anyone you know. And so sometimes it's helpful to take your list, right? Like, we all have a list of people, draw a funnel, and put where you think they land in your funnel, because it's really helpful for you to see like, oh, actually they probably land here. But the very top layer is people who just know you. They don't know you do Isagenix. They just know you, and they probably like you or trust you, or they seem interested in you in some capacity. Maybe they work with you, maybe they work out with you, but they know you. And when they're around you, they're like, oh, you're kind of fun, you know? This would be like my new neighbor. I just got a new neighbor. Her name is Laura. I really want to enroll her, but all she knows about me is that we're neighbors and that she thinks I'm fun and we go for walks. So she's at the top, right? And the next layer down, as the funnel starts to get a little bit like skinnier, would be people who you have had a conversation with Isagenix about, or who know you do Isagenix, right? So now we're getting into like a smaller level. The top widest level is going to be more people than the second level, which is people that you've actually had conversations with about Isagenix. Now, the next one, the next skinniest level, is going to be people who are your customers, okay? And there's a reason why I'm not saying your customers are the smallest part at the bottom, because your customers are going to be a bigger base. But that smallest part of the funnel, the skinniest part, way at the bottom, down by my elbows, is your business builders. And that is where literally 90% of your income is going to come. And so as we're enrolling people in Isagenix, we want to think really broad, like, who do I know of anyone? And then who have I actually had conversations with about Isagenix? And then who have I actually enrolled in Isagenix? And then who are the people who are wanting to have, to share or build a business? So I just want you to think about that and take your list and make a little picture of a tunnel and put where your people are, because sometimes in our head, we have these people and we have this list, but we're not really moving them down the funnel, right? Like, we're not actually starting the conversations about Isagenix. We're not actually getting them to enroll. And then once they're enrolled, we're not actually having the conversations about the business. And when you're inviting to take a look, you're literally, think of it as like a dance or like a date, right? Like, it's okay if it's like a little bit, they step a little bit further down. Like, it doesn't have to be so intense right away, like sex on the first date or something, you know, like, it doesn't have to be that intense. It can be a gentler conversation. You can also take people who are at the top of your funnel and you can race them to the bottom of your funnel, okay? Because you can race them there because they've given you indication that they're ready for that business building, right? So I have people that I'm literally enrolling, that I'm just meeting, but they're racing to the bottom because we've very quickly moved through those steps. We still moved through the steps. We still got their box ordered. We still talked about it, but maybe they came to a launch party. And so at a launch party, if you think about it, you're having a lot of concentrated conversations that lead you to the bottom to that funnel faster. So this is why when we talk about like inviting people to take a look, we just have to think more along the line of like a customer journey than necessarily saying the exact right thing at the exact right time with the exact right follow-up. Like, it's like a dance that gets you all the way to the bottom. So I want to pause there because I know this is kind of a different way to look at it, but we have like only 5 minutes left. And I just want to make sure that everyone is like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. Or I don't understand this piece, because I didn't really actually tell you what to say, right? Like, none of this conversation had anything to do with like what to actually say. And I don't want people to leave here and be like, well, I thought I was going to be told what to say. And I got nothing but like a funnel. I don't even know what that is. So like, I'm going to just like unmute yourself and just say a question or a statement. I'm going to look at the chat while you guys do that. Okay, good. Okay, so is this landing or like, is this helpful? Tell me what you think. Is the Bachelor on?
Hey, this is Barbie. Did you just say I'm the Bachelor on? Oh my gosh, I love you. No, I mean, and honestly, Gretchen, I think what you did is you helped us. Like, it's not what you say, right? And so I don't think we need to hear what you say. I mean, you provided us a tool of the scripts, is using that as a guideline. But I think this makes so much sense, is like focusing on really where your people in that funnel, because like I said, I think sometimes we often think people are further down in the funnel than they really are. Like, just because you post on social media and that they know that you're doing Isagenix, you haven't really invited them to take a look. So you need to personally go that extra step, or maybe you invited them to a launch party, but they weren't able to come. So therefore you think that they're further down the funnel, but they never actually came. So they never actually took a look, you know? So I think really that challenge to us is like looking at your people and looking at your list and where are they in the funnel, I think is a great takeaway for all of us.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for that. And I love Allison. Social media is not an invite. It's so true, you guys. It's like a storefront. They actually have to come in the store and try on the clothes.
Anyone have anything else? Questions, or maybe even a scenario that you have right now? We could like walk through a scenario if anyone has one hot on their brain and they're like not sure what to do. And this can be used for, Gretchen, would you like invite to take a look, invite to the event, invite, right? I mean, like all the different principles sort of apply to, you know, if you're inviting someone to UIA.
Yeah, totally. Yes. And okay, good. I just wanted to take a pulse check and just 100% of the time, you guys, when our business isn't moving forward, it's because we're not sending messages. Because we think it's going to go magically like it does for some people in a very rare circumstance. We see these people who do a post, or maybe this happened a few years ago. This happens less and less frequently now. But honestly, people are not sending enough messages. Like I guarantee all of us on this call, and self-included, if we sent a few more messages, if we sent one more message a day, just even one, you guys, that's 365 asks to take a look. If you just sent one message a day, that's in a year, right? So imagine asking 365 people to take a look at Isagenix. Your odds are pretty good. Some of those people are going to say, yeah, send me some info, you know? And whenever someone asks you to send you some info, your next question should always be, okay, cool. What about what I'm saying interests you? You want to like continue asking questions. And that's like a whole nother topic. But I just want to make sure we're really being honest with ourselves about like, are we actually asking people to take a look?
And so Gretchen, Danny did ask that in the chat. She said, if you ask someone to take a look and they say, yeah, send me info, and you ask, what are you interested in? And then you get no response, what do you do?
That's a really good point. So I usually say, this is what I do. Like if they say, send me some info, I never send info. I always say, what info are you looking for? And I try to draw out of them what it is that they're interested in. Because if they're like, yeah, send me some info, and I send them info about a cleanse, this has happened. I've sent them info about a cleanse, and they're like, oh, well, I don't want to lose weight. They don't even know what that is. What they really wanted was BIA, right? Like they just wanted the energy shots. But so if I don't ask, then I don't know what to send. So when I say like, okay, well, what part of it interests you? You know, and sometimes I'll say like, is it the income that I'm talking about, or is it the health benefits, or what part of it are you interested? And then once they tell me, and then I go ahead and send info, if they don't respond, I'll say something like, did that work? Did that go through? Or I'll send a voicemail and be like, hey girl, I don't know if you got that or not. I just want to make sure. And then some people, you have to read them, but some people I will say things like, listen, I'm not really the type of person that's going to like hassle you or bother you. So if you look at this and you're like, no, that's not for me, like just tell me, because that's like super helpful if I just know if it's not for you. And if they say like, yeah, I'm not interested, I say, okay, tell me why. Like, why don't you see this in you? Because I see this for you. So you just have to, I think the biggest thing is you just have to be comfortable with uncomfortable, right? Like you just have to like be willing to explore with people and not just take every single thing they say as like, no, I'm just not gonna, I just don't want it. Like, okay, well, why? Tell me why you don't see this for yourself. I basically get zero. Okay, hang on. Think of, yeah, they have never, yeah, that's such a good point, Becca. Like these people have never literally asked you, right? And so of course you're not going to send them a message. Yeah, totally. No, that's so good. What other questions? You guys can put them in the chats too. It is 9:30, but. Okay, cool. Well, that's all I have, Allison.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and I like, Becca, what you said. That's where we can stand out. Like if you want to be a professional and treat this, and you want people to look at you, you know, I'm always like, Allison, be legit. Like I tell myself this, I'm like, you're legit, Allison. Like I tell and like, what does a legit person do? They're like doing more than just the posting, right? They're like actually having the conversations, inviting people in, those things. So I do agree that's where we can stand out, and people will respect and admire you for it, even if it's not for them. So I love it. I think that's it, Gretchen. I think you totally nailed it. I appreciate it, and I think we can all go and turn up the thermostat a little bit on the number of invites we do this week. So that's what we got. Anything else? You're good?
Yeah.
Okay, look at the chat. Everyone's saying Gretchen mad love in the chat. You're getting a ton, so thank you.
Oh, you guys are so sweet. Will you guys literally send me a message once you send some invites and be like, I did it? It totally fuels me when I see people in action. So like, fill my cup this week by being like, I did it, girl. I asked this chick and she scares me to death, but I did it. Like, I want to see it. So send it to me.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Everyone have a good night.
Bye.